Greetings everybody, welcome here to Prog Monster. My name is Murph. I am the host of this show, a show dedicated to progressive rock and other forms of rock music. And today is day 31 of my 31 days in July of those great bands with two or more lead vocalists. This is the final episode. Not going to do any honorable mentions, not for this, because to be honest with you, there isn't really that many that didn't deserve it. I'm sure there's some that do deserve to be on it, but they're usually, I think most of the bands that are left that didn't make it were bands that I wasn't that familiar with, so I decided not to place them on this list. But anyways, for those of you who are coming in on the last episode, or for those of you who need me to reiterate it, I'm just doing bands with two vocalists or more that actually had an impact and were singing quite a bit with the band, either in an equal setting with other members or in a tiered setting, or maybe one guy was a little more than the other guys, or they were all equal, you know. But it's not about the harmonies either. It's basically about the lead parts. Yeah, some of these bands have great harmonies, and this band we're going to talk about today is probably one of the best lead harmonies of any band out there. I think their vocals are the best. The three guys that sing in this band are the best three together, doing both lead and harmony, and I just love their music. Fantastic. They're one of the few bands that do what they do and do it very well. A little bit of progressive rock here as well, but not necessarily. I think of them as, you know, as a hard rock band, and that's where I think I continue to think of them. But they do have a lot of progressive elements to the music. And of course we're talking about Styx, and I chose this album to match my shirt and hat, yellow. I don't know why I'm like that. I think that comes from my daughter, but that's good. That's a good thing. So anyways, Styx had a number of albums dating back to the early 70s. I now have the entire Styx collection from the 1970s. I got a disc with all four. From Laser's Edge, I got a disc with all four of the original Wooden Nickel albums, which I was absolutely floored to get. I love those albums. I've been listening to them. Just such good, like especially the first one, and I think it's Man of Miracles. Man of Miracles. I think that's the one. Just so good, those two albums. I just love them. So anyways, you have three vocalists in this band. I'm going to try to get a shot here. Yeah. It's a kind of a face in the trees, and they're all kind of hiding in the background. Oh no, sorry. I'm thinking of Pieces of Eight. The background part is here, all hiding in the trees. Anyways, this band has a lot of really great vocals. A lot of dual harmonies, a lot of complete harmonies, a lot of duets, but mostly just fantastic lead vocal parts. So we have, and we'll start with James Young, or JY if you prefer. Start with him first because he is the longest serving member of Styx now, as the only original member left from the band, I believe. Yes, I think all the others are gone from the band, but he is still in the band. He was one of the originals, and he never was one of those guys who did a ton of singing, but he always had one or two, sometimes as many as 3 songs on an album, but I think two is the average. 1 and 2 is usually the average. He has a very distinctive voice, the real kind of rocky sounding voice. He's got the low end of the spectrum here. He sings he has such a cool sound to his voice. It's almost rumbling at some points. The harder songs, he puts the real bite into them. I think he's a fantastic vocalist. If Styx had no other vocalist but him, they'd still be fantastic. That's how good they are, and that's how good his voice is. So then we're going to move on up to the newest member, if you prefer, although he's been around for quite about 40 years now or more. We're talking about Tommy Shaw. He joined to replace John Kulowitsky. So he replaced him, and immediately this band was mega full. Nothing against Cool Whiskey, but Tommy Shaw is a find. He's a rare find, and he's a diamond in the rough, as they say. He can play instrumentation. He can write music. He's a great guitar player. But more than any of those things, he has a great voice. I can always tell when it's him. His voice will go up, and he's so emotional. His voice gives so much emotional depth to his music. For such a small guy, he has such a powerful voice, right? And sings most or a lot of the songs on the Styx collection that I really like a lot, especially later on. Later on, when they became a little bit too poppy for me, it was his pop songs that were the ones that I liked the most. Yeah, and he just adds that kind of element of emotion to the songs that the other two, although they do a really good job singing the songs and stuff, I don't think they have quite the emotional bite to their music that Tommy Shaw does. And the third member of this trilogy, or trio, Dennis D. Young. Well, Dennis D. Young's voice is, to me, one of the great rock voices of rock music. Tommy Shaw's is not like a hair less, but I think Dennis just has one of those great high voices, and I love to try and sing it. I love all of the stuff that he sings. My two favorite, Queen of Spades and Sweet Madam Blue. He just is so smooth, and his voice is just so angelical. They're great vocalists, you know. There are few in rock that captivate me as much as Dennis D. Young. I think he's definitely a top 4 or 5 guy for me in rock music, and always will be. He just has one of those mostly angelical voices. I am going to break a little bit with tradition here, because the guy who replaced him, Lawrence Gowan, I think Lawrence Gowan is as good a singer as anybody out there. That guy has such range on his voice. He can actually sound like other people singing. He does a really good imitation of Freddie Mercury's voice on the most recently Crash of the Crown album back in 2021. I could have swore it was Freddie Mercury. That's how good his voice is. And he has an ability to do this, but he also has a fantastic voice too. Not out of the range of Dennis D. Young. Dennis D. Young may be a little bit higher, and their voices sound different, but he can belt the songs out that Dennis sung, and he doesn't sound out of place. And I know some people think that's blasphemy. I love Dennis D. Young. Nobody can really replace him. But if somebody had to replace him, I would choose Lawrence Gowan. I think he's just such a good vocalist, with such range and such a persona on stage too. Yeah, both of them were. They were both personas on stage, no doubt about it. Almost divas in some ways. Anyways, Styx was my choice for today. I think that they are the best multi-vocal, lead vocal bands out there. They are also one of the best harmony vocals out there. Their music is so catchy. There's so much about this band I do not understand, and I will reiterate this because every chance I get I'm going to say this. They got to be in the Hall of Fame. They should be in the Hall of Fame. They are among the greatest rock bands in American history. Got to be in there. Why they're not in there? It's a joke. You know, it's hard to take places seriously when Styx is not in there, or Jethro Tull for that matter. But definitely Styx has got to be in there. So there you have it. That's the completion of this series. I hope you enjoyed it. It was much more interesting for me as it went along, because I became much more pronounced in my understanding of the bands I was talking about, because they were my favorites. It just got, I got a little bit more comfortable. At the beginning I was still struggling a bit, because I knew some of them, but I didn't know them as well as I thought. But with these bands, I know them pretty good and I'm happy with them. So anyways, Styx had to be number one. They are number one. I hope that you enjoyed this set of videos. If you did, please hit the subscribe button on the side there. Make your comments. How do you feel about Styx? How do you think the ranking went? Do you think it was something that was interesting? Would you consider me doing something similar again in the future? All those questions are out there. Put whatever comments you want in the below. And have yourself a good day, and we will see you in August. And I'm not sure that, and I'm pretty sure I'm not going to be doing anything for the month of August. I have much going on. But we will be back in September with a new battle of the bands. We had the Great Prog War for the progressive rock. We're going to do another progressive rock one, but this one is going to be called the Obscure Prog War, because I've instructed Ben, and we've had this discussion, and told him that I would prefer he chooses obscure bands so that we can get some different listens to hear for some progressive bands, kind of like what we did with the hard rock one. So it might not be as entertaining for those of you who like those big bombastic things, but I think that this will bring, maybe if it brings one or two new groups to your repertoire that you really like, it gives you something more to listen to. So anyways, I hope you have yourself a good day, and we will see you again in August. Take care. Bye.